Beloved Masters, welcome into this sacred container once again. This is just a brief introduction and transmission into what seems to be lying ahead for many, if not all of us, at this particular point in time. I had the intention of bringing forward a transmission next month or towards the end of this month in conjunction with the timeline shifts that we are on and anchoring into or converging with our highest, best potential and timeline. But there seems to be an urgency in terms of bringing this transmission forward, hence me sitting here with you today in this moment, in this space. And so this week, since the 11/11 portal, now moving and leading up to the full moon on Friday, and even beyond, there's an energetic momentum and portal, if you will, that is opening up the possibility for us to move onto a higher, more expansive timeline as individuals and as a collective. And so even if you find this video a few months down the line or any time within the future or past or present, know that this message, this transmission is finding you at the exact particular moment that is needed for you on your individual journey. And so this transmission is beyond space and time. And so as I bring this transmission through now, it's merely just an introduction to what is transpiring for us now and what is required and is being called forth from us in order to transform and heal at a greater level at this particular time. The timeline shift is directly linked to one's purpose, one's greater purpose, one's soul's contract in connection to one's purpose in this lifetime, your greatest manifestation of your service and embodiment in this lifetime, and how that plays out, how that is expressed out into the world and experienced. And so this week we're being asked to make a choice. And, it's funny because how this might play out for you in your individual experiences is that you might have been having moments where you feel a sense of resonance with your soul. So there's a sense of, I feel in the flow with life. I feel like I'm connected to my purpose. I feel like I'm connected to my soul, and things are beginning to move forward with such ease and with such grace. You might have experiences like that. And then within a moment or two, an hour or a day, you might have a contrasting experience where you perhaps are triggered into an old storyline, an old belief, an old way of being, an old narrative within the mind. And there's a reason that this is happening now. I'm seeing that for many, it might appear as though an experience or a narrative or a feeling or an emotion of the past is now recurring in the present moment, or has been recurring, and has been giving you this contrasting situation or experience in terms of feeling this higher timeline and then feeling the old timeline simultaneously, or going in and out of those experiences as well. And so however this has been playing out for you, there is a reason for this, and this is because the divine is asking you to make a choice this week, whenever this finds you, and going forward. Not only make a conscious choice in terms of choosing the more expansive timeline as opposed to reverting to an old timeline or a current timeline that no longer serves you, that only gives you experiences of restriction, entrapment, perhaps limitation. It is asking you to energetically first make that choice. And so I'm being brought forward the analogy, an example of my past, of my own personal experience. I remember when I first became a mother to my son, and he was growing up, and there were a couple of days in this week we began to rebel and began to say no, 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 no to everything. And being new as a mother, I wasn't experienced in, I didn't have the full confidence in how to mother and guide and bring up a child. And I found myself getting very frustrated, and I began to assert my authority as mother. I began to try and do mother, and none of this was working. I would assert myself and I would say, do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that, in an assertive, authoritative way. And it wouldn't help. And my child would still sort of just resist whatever I was bringing forward. And I remember hearing in my intuition saying, Riana, why are you trying to do mother? Why are you trying to be a mother? You are already a mother. And I sat with that for a moment, and I thought to myself, okay, this makes sense. I am trying to assert my authority as a mother in order to make a change, in order to see a change of behavior within my child, instead of sitting in the awareness and knowing of the fact that I am mother, that the natural energy and essence of a mother, of nurturing, of guidance, of protection, of pure love already exists within me, right? And this attempt to assert myself in order to see and make a change, in order to control, was stemming from the perspective of feeling less than mother, not feeling confident in the role of mother. And so it came from lack, right? And there was a different state of being and a different vibration when you are grasping and trying and forcing things to occur from that perspective and that embodiment of lack or of unconfidence or not feeling fully whole within yourself, versus when you are sitting in the energy and the knowing that you are mother. There's a very, very, very different contrasting difference in terms of that state of being, right? And I think this is being brought forward now because it ripples into any area of your life, anywhere where you are through fear, because of lack, because of fear, we are trying to assert certain things in order to control the outcome or to control the narrative. And the energetic vibration of that still stems from that lack perspective, from a lens that is not truly seeing and objectively who you are at that given moment, who you are at your core, at your soul's core. And so before we make a conscious choice to choose the new timeline, the divine is asking you to sit within the awareness and the knowing of your worthiness. Sit within the awareness and the knowing of your inherent deserving of abundance and joy and connection and love and healing and transformation and liberation and freedom, success, peace. Sit within that awareness of who you already are. And then from that perspective, from that state of being, knowing your fullness, your wholeness, knowing your perfection, knowing who you are at your core, that untainted, unshakable you as a soulful being, begin to then take inspired action and make inspired choices based on that, from that state of being and embodiment. So in essence, we are being asked to choose when we are triggered this week, or whenever you are being triggered and you are having these contrasting experiences where we're having a recurring experience or a thought or an emotion or a story of the past replaying, and then perhaps having a more expansive experience. We're asked to now begin to sit within the awareness of who we are, what we are worthy of our perfection, of our wholeness, of our completeness, of our already perfect nature, and then begin to make that choice to anchor into the new timeline. And this will result in you responding or reacting from a different state of energetic embodiment. You're not responding from lack, you're not responding from fear, you're not responding from incompleteness. You're responding from a wholeness that exists within you. It is the idea of completely removing the filter of old. And from that perspective, choosing this new timeline, choosing this higher timeline, if you will. For the one light of source, the one light of God, although it recognizes that it is all of those experiences, whether we are looking through a filter of yellow lenses or purple lenses or blue lenses, and we've begun to almost believe that what we are seeing is yellow and blue and purple. The one light of God, of source, is that is all inclusive within your experience, right? Those are the choices you've made. Those are the experiences you chose to have. And that is okay. There is no wrong choice. There is no wrong experience. It's all part of what you have chosen as a soul to experience. And it is all part of the experience of God, of source, of love. And ultimately, all of those filters and all of those experiences will bring you back to that one distilled truth within your being. We're being asked now to tune into that one distilled truth, that unified distilled truth within our very being this week, right now. And this calling, if you will, this transmission, if you will, allowed me to begin to bring through 3 new vocal healing transmissions. And as with all my vocal healing transmissions, there is a progression to it. Each week, as I channel and bring through these vocal transmissions, it is energetic frequencies, messages of guidance and support that is needed at that particular moment in time when you receive it. And so these 3 vocal transmissions are directly linked into what is transpiring for most of us, if not all of us now at this particular time, in anchoring this new and higher timeline, right? And so the very, very first vocal transmission is purification of the mind and heart coherence. And what this is asking us is to begin to allow the showers of heaven's tears, if you will, to purify the mind of the old, the stories, the beliefs, the narratives of old, clearing the mind, and then allowing the mind to begin to settle within the heart space. It's almost like a feather in the mind, which symbolizes your thoughts, your stories, your narratives, the ego, and just watching that feather begin to drop down the back of your neck and landing within the heart space, gently landing within the heart space. And from that embodiment of mind and heart coherence, it's as if our being is becoming unified, where the mind or the ego no longer leads the way or takes control and wants to dominate based on fear, based on old stories, lack, limitation, but it begins to follow the lead of the heart. There's a synchronization between the mind and the heart. It's almost this feeling of enlightenment within your very being, a unification, a oneness of every facet of your being, mind and heart, working together as a unified source. And then we move into the next vocal transmission, which is the conscious choice, making the conscious choice from that unified field, making the conscious choice to choose this new higher timeline. And then the third vocal transmission is the North Node, beginning to take those steps forward toward your destiny, toward your North Node, towards your greater purpose, your greater expression, no matter how that might look for you. We say to you, beloved Master, that your spiritual revelations that you've learned and cultivated up until this point cannot be unlearned. It cannot be unlearned. It is your soul's revelations, your soul's realizations in this lifetime. And that any choice you make going forward, energetic, conscious choices, are made from this perspective. For you're being reminded now that you are at the level of embodiment and consciousness now where any form of unconsciousness becomes a conscious choice, especially in relation to things that you have healed, things that you have already transformed within your being. Should you choose to take an old path, an old road, even though you've already had the revelation, making that choice is a conscious choice, right? The actual process of the timeline convergence or the timeline anchoring, I will be facilitating over the next week or two, most likely over the next 2 weeks or week and a half, in terms of anchoring in this new timeline, in grounding it into form in our members portal. So if you are within the Mastery membership, you will have instant access to that as well. Otherwise, you can join using an individual purchase or joining as a Mastery member. The vocal transmissions will also be instantly available and downloadable within the Music Sanctum. And it will also be made available on our YouTube channel for all those who are called to experience as they are moving through this magnificent portal of transformation. So, beloved Masters, thank you for joining me. Please be on the lookout for the vocal transmissions that will follow over the next few days, 1, 2, and 3. And then after the third vocal transmission, we will move into the actual energetic process and initiation of anchoring in this higher timeline within the Mastery membership. I'm sending you so much love, so much blessings. Until next time. Bye-bye.